Hey, welcome back to GTC Outdoors. Back here with Jeff and Kyle. We're out here on a little scouting trip. Unnamed river in Ohio. We got into a really hard to access spot. It's not the best boat ramp in the world, but generally I've seen that produce the best because you're not getting as many people. Maybe kayakers back here or somebody that's doing what we're doing, which more and more people do these days. So we're going to try to find a little hidey hole spot tucked back in on public next to this river. Get out, make a couple mock scrapes. I'm going to go over my system for mock scrapes, which we're going to post this on YouTube so you can watch the way this works, and we'll follow up with trail cam videos and pictures, because I think it's the best way to go on public land right now. There's a lot of information on scrapes, and we just need to get our eyes on some good sign, some habitat edge, and if we find a scrape and we can make it work for us, that's what we're going to do. So we'll be back with you here in a moment when we get to our spot. All right, we're back in here now. We just went way up this hill, went all the way to the edge of this private property, looked in this wheat field to see if there's any sign. Didn't look great. I mean, there was some droppings and stuff, a few tracks, but then the drainage that we actually parked the boat in, because we got a little discouraged. We go back, we come down this hill, and I said, let's go back up in this drainage, follow this drainage, and then this is what we see right now. There's actually multiple spots like this up this drainage. So we're going to definitely follow this drainage. We're going to get up on top. We found some oaks, which is probably the explanation of all the tracks. And they got covered. They can escape to the water pretty easy. So we'll get back with you here in a minute. We're going to keep walking around.
Everybody, what we were just explaining is this is the drainage that we parked the boat in. We about left, but it goes to show you, I think if you're feeling discouraged, walk the extra couple feet. Walk, even if you don't think you're going to see anything. It's better to exit off the list than not know. I mean, we have this whole drainage system all the way through here. What's that?
This is the kind of trails, we've seen that trail there, that's a great trail. But this trail is a little less noticeable, more likely to be used by a big buck.
Right here. So if you see these slides coming down the hill right here, and you can see, I mean, it's relatively heavy deer sliding down this hill.
And it's not as noticeable as the other trails. The big bucks are solitary. They're going to tend to do that. So we could look down on the ground, see if we figure out any. Right there. That's a big buck all day long. That's a good sized deer.
Hey everybody, as we're going up this drainage, somebody else also thought that this spot might hold something, because there is a double man ladder stand, which you're technically not supposed to do
probably coming from
in Ohio, but it's definitely against private edge, so you're never going to cut that out completely.
But if we hunt just down here, right here, we could be in eyesight of that stand, and they could not have a chance in the world at a deer, and we could shoot a nice buck. So being that there's a stand right there, there's a good chance that's why we find the sign farther down the drainage. Deer start to pattern people just like we pattern them. Actually, they do a better job. Deer are the best in the world of being there and not letting you know that they're there, and when they're gone, you never had a clue. So you always have to remember that when you put up a stand, you set it multiple times. When you leave that night, you're leaving ground scent that stays all the way up to 40 days on the ground. That's why they say the first time in is the best time, is because you're taking them by surprise. But people think that if you watch your wind coming in and out, you can hunt the same tree multiple times. That's only true if a deer does not cross your tracks. If you can come in undetected and get in and out, you could get 3 or 4 days out of a rut stand. But as soon as you walk by a deer trail, even that night, they smell you, they sense danger, and they start changing their patterns. That's why you have to be mobile and fluid when you hunt. So we're going to keep walking up through here until we hit this stand. We're going to loop back and see what the deer are doing. They're up here for a reason. So
if I had to guess, this is probably either a gun stand, the way it's set up. I mean, either way, if this is a bow stand, guys, and he sits there multiple days in a row, if I'm a deer and I'm over here, there's no shot. And I think that's why you're going to see the majority of this sign like we just seen down there, because they're skirting him.
Yeah.
I mean,
he thinks that he's playing the wind because the predominant wind is actually blowing towards the stand, coming out of the west, blowing east. The sand is east of us. He thinks he's being slick with the wind, but at night his thermal's hitting this valley and going right down. I mean, this is a drainage, and you got to think of wind as water. So if you're pouring water over top of this hill, everything's coming down into this drainage and going straight out towards the creek. So if a buck wants to scent check everything that way, he's just going to get low into this drainage, and that's where you need to get just below him, and you got him. But as soon as you walk up this drainage, like, it's going to take a couple weeks for our scent to get out of here. But this scent follows drainages just like water does. So that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, we got about, I don't know, about a month before we're going to be back into some of these spots, and I think that's going to be we're about as close as I want to get to season opener to being in these woods and checking these paths out. Now,
right.
A lot of things that people like to scout early spring before the green up is on there. But I think if you get the MRI, the most recent information, closest to the time you're going to be in the woods, you're going to get the best intel. Yep. And after a rain or the moisture, because if it was hard packed here, we would never see, besides historical tracks,
right? And
we would never see any of this stuff.
And the longer that I've been doing this public land stuff now, the more I actually like to see stands, because you can use them to funnel deer in your direction. All honesty, people tend to set ladder stands over and over, and it helps push the deer. Use the pressure in your advantage. And that's something we talk about a lot in high pressure states like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Just because you see people in the parking lot, if you can figure out that little spot where people don't go, it's going to stack the deer in your advantage. So that's where we're at right now. Let's see what we can find farther up in here.
Okay, everybody, we just kind of walked up over this little edge, and it's kind of like a little mini ridge system. If you're used to like southern states with big ridge systems, just think about shrinking it down to scale to where we're at. But this is really the only topographical changes we've found since being in this area for the last year and a half. And when we get here, you see over here, you got a lot of this young cover, high grass, a lot of foliage, the potential for a lot of browse. And then if you look over here, you're going to see open hardwoods back here. Now, what that means is a lot of these deer are habitual edge creatures. So they're going to run these edges, and you're going to find most of your sign here.
So we found a good spot back in good security cover. I'm making a mock scrape. I just found a nice branch. I'm clearing out the ground. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 licking branches, possibly a 5th. And we got some good trees to set up around it. I see pretty much a tree for each wind location, and we have the river behind here. We're not too far from this road, but access is really hard from the road. So we're gonna use some water access. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna make these scrapes, and then I'm gonna get my bag of tricks. I'm gonna use some ground scent, some forehead gland. Throw a camera back here on this tree, or this tree, and we should have some good action out here. So. All right, so we've got the scrapes made. We took a big stick, which we need to get rid of. All right, anyways, got some scrape juice. We'll put it in the scrape right here. Liberal amounts. I don't think you could put really too much of this stuff in there. All right, that's the scrape juice. Now I've got a little forehead gland mixture. We're gonna throw this all over licking branches. You can also use this on a signpost rub too. Got forehead gland juice in it. So. And then I got a little special made homemade concoction. I'll hit with this scrape. This is experimental. Lemon ammonia. Black anise, and what the hell is that? Oh, a little bit of vanilla. So this is experimental. I have no experience with this at all here. I read it on a forum. So there you go.
All right, everybody, as me and Jeff were walking up this this river edge here, we've seen something that kind of caught our eye. You see here, it's a giant buck bed, one right here, and there's one back here. So it could be bachelor group or same deer, different kind of winds or different kind of facing different directions. And then you see here, it's a real nice rub. So if you get down in its bed and kind of look to see what it can see, you got it. It's got pretty much almost a 360-degree view of what's coming at it. It's going to be able to smell what's coming at it too from the land over here, the public, and then it's going to be able to see anything coming at it from the water. So if it smells something downwind, coming downwind from the public, it's going to get in this water. It's going to cross this river. This river is not that deep, maybe 5-6 feet. It can get across it pretty quick. But I mean, you even got some hair down here in the bed. Yeah, right here. There's hair. And I think this is going to be one of the key spots. And we're in an oxbow, so it makes sense. And on this wind that's going to be coming across, this is going to be where this deer is going to be better to be able to see.
Pretty good sized rub.
Yep, pretty good sized rub.
About hip high.
And there's a travel corridor right here along the edge of this water. So this deer is pretty much covered 360 degrees. It's going to be able to get away. Yeah, it makes sense because you got black locust pods or honey locust pods, and this deer is going to be able to sit here and forage on briars, any of this green up in here. When the briars and stuff are gone towards the winter and all fed on, it's going to be eating on some of these. We found an oak tree a little bit further back in there.
And it can head to the crop.
It can head to the crop fields that are just on the other side of this thick stuff and across the road. So this deer's got food, water, and bedding right here. And during the rut, these bucks like to push these does into these oxbows. That way another buck can't get to them, especially if the wind's blowing across this river. No other buck's gonna smell his hot doe. So keep in mind coming into the season, if you got water excess, look at these oxbows and these little winds in these creeks, because just like fish, deer are gonna head up the fish. If you find an oxbow, you're gonna find some slack water off current. That's where fish are gonna hold up. Same thing with deer. These oxbows, they're gonna be able to sit there and see what's coming by at any given point. So keep that in your mind, mark some pins and go look at them, guys. Jeffrey and I decided to ditch the boat and go into a private access point into the public that we got permission for that day. Didn't quite work out the way we planned. We ran into 6.5 foot tall stinging nettles. We decided to go from there to some higher ground, see if we can find some primary food source like ag and white oaks.
Okay, we found a spot out here now that's got some good acorn mass dropping. It's this year's acorn, as you can see right here. This is a bur oak. I ripped some of it off just to show you. This thing is completely encapsulated inside the what would you call it, the flower, or the top of the acorn. So this is a white oak. I picked this up off the ground. This is actually what tipped us off to the oak tree. We actually seen this at white oak somewhere. We looked around, found this giant bur oak tree right here, and then there's another oak tree next to it. So really, when you're scouting and you're looking for oaks, as you can see, the rounded lobes on this tree, another one just dropped. So I have a feeling this is gonna be a hot tree. You see it?
Yep.
Where's that? Oh, right here? No, that's not it. But that definitely just dropped. I heard it hit. Could have been off this other tree up here. But anyways, rounded lobes are white oaks 9 times out of 10. There's a few species that are confusing, but this is a white oak. And then maybe later on we find a red oak. It's just your normal, real pointed, leafy oak. And all oak trees pretty much have lobes like this. There's a few that have more rounded and not a lot of branches coming off the leaf. And that is your bur white oak. Not for highly preferred by deer, but yep, that's encapsulated. And this is, I'll take this all the way out of the shell. I will be the deer. Okay. So the deer, that's right here. Show it all the way out, right there. You find these all over the grounds, tore up, early season like that, so this thing should be falling out all the way into September. It could be dropped out before we actually hunt this, but we're gonna come back and check on it. We're gonna mark it on our Onyx or Spartan Forge or whatever mapping system. I'm sitting here looking at tracks coming through there. That's pretty good size, so. All right, let's see what else we can find back in this little honey hole.
Okay, everybody, we're about a day and a half after this video was filmed. Jeffrey and I did forget to film an outro, which it happens, but I think we had some good intel. As you can see here, we found the sign that we go in looking for. Primary food source, secondary food source like beans or corn, and you got acorns. So I think you find white oaks, you're going to find the hottest sign earliest because they're going to hit the oaks before they go out to the fields. And Jeffrey and I end up finding white oaks, bur oaks, and red oaks. So we kind of have every stage of the season to kind of feed around these feed trees, and we found a lot of them. Definitely some trials and tribulations in this video. Went through a jungle of stinging nettles. Almost put the boat up on the rocks because the bottom pretty much fell out of the water we were in. I mean, it went from 6 feet to nothing. So we had to get out and come up with a different plan. But I'd rather learn this stuff now than be pitch black first day of season trying to get to our spot and realize you can't do it. So I think if you're going to go out and work out the kinks early before you get in there and be caught with your pants down. But I think everybody should get out and at least do one scouting trip to the area they plan to be in first. If you're not a early season hunter and you wait till fall, maybe the time you need to scout is fall to scout your way into hunting, and there's nothing wrong with that. Jeffrey, myself, and Ricky, pretty much everybody over here behind the scenes and in front of the camera at GGC will be hunting the early opener. And we're going to try to get our buck tags filled here in Ohio pretty quick. That way we can focus on our Pennsylvania trip, maybe sneak down to West Virginia. We got Kentucky's in play. We're going to kind of be bouncing around a little bit, but we're going to for sure be in Pennsylvania regardless of us getting a buck on the ground here. But I have a really strong feeling and a lot of confidence going into the season. We'll see if it sticks. Hopefully it does. Last year it worked out, November 11th. I'm hoping to get a early buck out of the way because I hate waiting till the rut and leaving it up to chance. And hopefully one's boogered up enough to come running by chasing a doe. A lot of chance in that, but it does work. We appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of videos coming out, and we're going to have a lot of hunting videos coming your way. Once again, thanks for watching GGC Outdoors. We'll catch you on another video.